Hey, what's going on, DDO players? Axel here. So you might think that Featherfall is a buff, but I say to you, it is actually a debuff. Let's talk about it. So, post came up on the forums. This comes up every so often. Basically, this person here, Danzig, is saying that it's annoying when a caster tosses Featherfall on you every few minutes and you're on a character that requires mobility and doesn't want to hang in the air like a pinata for the bad guys. So I have strong opinions on this. For anyone that's new, Featherfall is a trait that makes you fall slowly in DDO. So it comes in the form of a spell, an item attribute, an item click key, an augment, and it's even included in systems like curse card crafting, should the RNG decide that's what you get. So this post here is talking about the spell form, which you can't refuse because it's a party buff that party members can just cast on you. And clearly the developers have the opinion from the way they've designed the game that the spell or the ability Featherfall is always better to have than not. It's kind of seen through the game's design. It's always seen as a buff, as a good thing. But why? Like, why does the game treat it that way? Like, why is that the prevailing idea? Not all players believe that, but really, when you think about it, Featherfall is just the debuff slow, but effective when you're in the air. It just slows your character down. And sure, there's situations where you need Featherfall and where it's definitely advantageous to have it. So most commonly to make jumps, right? There's a lot, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's some platforming sections in DDO where you have to have Featherfall or you're not going to make the jump, because Featherfall lets you go a farther distance. I mean, assuming you don't have, say, like a dash, like spring attack or something. But there's a lot of situations where, barring having abilities like that, you need Featherfall to make the jumps. And you also need it at low levels, because at low levels, you will take too much falling damage. So like Misery's Peak is a good example. Level 1 in Korthos, there's a section after you light all the crystals that you need to fall. Well, you don't need to. You can run down the slows, but assuming you took the clicky from the village quest, then you can Featherfall all the way down from the top, and it just saves you some time. So it's advantageous sometimes to use it. But after low levels, there's really no reason to use Featherfall except if you're in a situation where you need it to make a platforming jump, or if you just prefer it for your play style, because falling damage becomes trivial after lower levels. Like when you get high enough, a little bit higher level, it doesn't matter anymore really, because falling damage is capped in DDO, so it doesn't continue to scale with you. And also, when it comes to dungeon design, there used to be more of this, but these days there's very few long drops in DDO in dungeons. Like, look at something like the new expansion, Chill of Ravenloft. The dungeon layout is pretty much flat for all of it across the board. There's just not a lot of situations nowadays where you fall a lot in the game from a high distance. So aren't we just making our characters worse by having Featherfall on all the time? Because it really does just function as a slow spell, but affecting you while in the air. Like, for some reason, being slowed in the air we've seen is a good thing, yet enemies run around the dungeon and cast slow on us that makes us slower in terms of running speed, and we see that as a bad thing. Like, why do we see being slow in the air as a good thing? I just, it's nothing. I've never really understood it. And I think there are some arguments for playstyles, like particularly with range characters like bow users and such. A lot of people like having it because it allows you to fire extra projectiles while falling in the air, and I get that. It can be enjoyable aesthetically, or maybe you can find it advantageous to fall and shoot, like say maybe you're falling down a shaft like in Coalescence Chamber, for example, and you want to fall slowly so you can shoot a lot of enemies on your way down. That makes sense. So there are definitely some situations, I think, particularly for ranged and casters, where it can be advantageous in the air. But I think for melees, it becomes a lot less subjective. I think that objectively, for melee characters in particular, Featherfall just makes you a straight up worse character in almost every situation, unless, of course, you need it to make a jump or you're at low levels where the falling damage matters. But otherwise, it just slows your movement while in combat. And as we all know, DDO is all about the active combat system. This is not a game where you stand in place. It's not a turn-based RPG. It's not like a lot of other MMOs where you would stand in one place, right, and just fight. So For melees, it becomes really important, particularly in high skulls. Like for me, one of the most effective ways to avoid damage from Doom Reapers, if you don't have a tank, is to jump around a lot, like jump around like a bunny rabbit. And if you have Featherfall, it slows you in the air, making that tactic much less effective. So Featherfall in higher skulls really hurts you because of movement. And it's not just dodging, say, Doom Reapers. It can also be getting out of the way of Vengeance Reaper circles. Like you can be caught in the air while there's a circle about to explode, and you can die because you're held up in the air. If you're in the air, it makes dodging spells, any kind of spells or AoE, more difficult. So I would say for melees in particular, you can't benefit from falling slowly and still shooting at range, because when you're at range, it doesn't matter. Your positioning doesn't matter nearly as much as a melee. But with a melee, yeah, it's just straight up worse, in my opinion. So why is there no option in game to avoid this, what I would call a debuff by players? So before anyone says anything else, I know, before you type in the comments, I am fully aware that you can hold shift to disable Featherfall temporarily. I get that. And that was a great change years ago when they added it. But it's not an adequate solution, because in fast twitch combat situation, particularly in high skulls, holding shift just isn't practical, because you only have two hands. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a human with two hands, and I can't hold shift and also hit keys on my keyboard for my hotkeys, and also move my character with my mouse. So yeah, so it's not an adequate solution in fast twitch situations where you need to respond very quickly. You need to move, you have to hit hotkeys, you have to use your mouse. It's not a reasonable solution. It's not something you can it doesn't actually help you in fast twitch situations. Where holding shift really helps is, yeah, say like you're in Coalescence Chamber, or you're in, I don't know, Invitation to Dinner, and you're falling down a corridor slowly, and you want to hold shift to go faster. That's a situation where that's a completely great solution. But for fast twitch combat situations, the holding shift to disable Featherfall does not work at all. So also, it's just not practical to hold shift while playing. And if you're someone who doesn't want Featherfall and someone casts it on you as a buff, like, what are you supposed to do? Just hold shift for 20 minutes during the whole quest? I mean, it doesn't let you play the game the way you want to, and it's just hurting your character. So what do I think? I think that if you like Featherfall and you want to always have it on, that's great. That's you. Do you. That's your play style. It doesn't really matter if it's objectively better or worse from a min-max perspective. Maybe you just like Featherfall, and that's great. And you like using it, that's great. But for us who don't want it, I wish there was some kind of support for that. I think the best solution would be to add a toggle that makes Featherfall always off by default. This way, whether you get Featherfall cast on you by a party member, or if you say use the curse card crafting system where you can get Featherfall as one of the options, it would disable it and override that, so you could still not have Featherfall. Because that's one of the biggest reasons why I have never crafted one of my like really rare, really valuable like raid items or rare items. Why I don't curse them is because I might get Featherfall, and for me that completely ruins the item, because I don't want Featherfall. I hate Featherfall. So that would help with that. And I just wish they would take it out of curse card crafting, but at least a toggle, if they don't want to do that, a toggle that makes Featherfall always off would be great. And while it wouldn't fix all the problems, it'd be nice maybe if there was a setting in the options that flips what shift does. So instead of it holding shift making Featherfall be disabled, make it the opposite, make it always disabled, and holding shift causes Featherfall to be on. That would be cool if that was a toggle in the options. So yeah, so that's like my spiel on Featherfall, my opinions on Featherfall. And I say to you that if you've been using Featherfall all the time, consider not using it, because in the vast majority of situations, you're just making yourself slower. If you like using it objectively or aesthetically or from a playstyle perspective, great, but maybe think about not using it. If you do use it all the time, you don't particularly care for it. And but yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I just wanted to, I saw this thread on the forums. I just wanted to put my opinions out there. Post your opinions and tell me how much you disagree with me. I would be interested in reading that as always. Hope you all enjoyed the video. I'll see you for the next one. Have a good one. Take care.